Hello, welcome back with me, everyone. I'm Valerie Dimensional Talent Streams, redirecting you in being fruitful and multiplying. This week, I have another special guest for us today, Lauren Wells of Thrive with LC. She is within the health and wellness space out of New York. So excited to have you, Miss Lauren. What's going on in New York, New York, the Big Apple?
Yes. Hi, Valerie. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited.
Yeah. So how are you? And what's going on in the Big Apple?
I'm staying out of the Big Apple. Probably when it gets a little warmer because it's about to snow here tomorrow.
Oh
Um,
no.
yeah, it's cold right now, but everything it's good other than that for the most part.
All right. How many inches or is it going to be feet?
I'm not sure. I know it said it was a big storm coming, but usually it can say a lot of times because in the city, when you're in the outskirts of the suburbs, it does get, more inches, but in the city, we probably get like no more than a foot for the most part.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I'm here in North Carolina and it has just been overcast and cloudy, but it's been in the 60s. So we can't complain, can't complain.
I'll take those 60s over the 30s.
Yeah, we haven't had any snow this year either. I think we had one snowfall and it was a couple of inches, and then that's about it. Knock, knock on wood. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get into it. So tell, our viewers and our listeners, who is Lauren Wells? What is Thrive with LC? Talk to us a little bit just about, what you do in the wellness space.
Yes. Well, I'm Lauren LC. Most people call me LC or the Gut Health Bestie. I'm a certified digestive health coach. I'm a fitness trainer and an intuitive healer. So I pretty much help women to have better gut health, balance hormones, and align vibrating energy. I work with the chakra systems. I incorporate mind, body, and spirit into a lot of my work and what I do. I'm
Mhm.
also a tech founder. I'm one of the first Black tech founders in the holistic wellness space. I found Hervival. So the founder of Hervival, which is an all-in-one holistic wellness, fitness, and spiritual app. There's not one that puts all these things together. So with myself and a few other experts and coaches in the wellness space, as well as some plant-based chefs, we are all in to, cultivate a community. Our mission is to transform 1,000 women from survival mode, trying to get by and not focusing on their wellness and self-care, and transforming them on a soul level and helping them adapt holistic, realistic, and simplistic lifestyle habits.
I love it. I love it. So tell us a little bit about your journey and kind of how you got into the holistic space. Why that? We've all had a journey. We've all had to kind of come through the fire, and that has kind of led to, our ministry, sort of to speak, our business, kind of our purpose and kind of our life statement. So tell us kind of how you got into that little journey there.
Yeah, so I knew at some point I was going to be like a healer. I mean, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a pediatric doctor, but I was not trying to go to school that long. So I was studying nursing at first, and then I merged over into occupational therapy, and I wanted to help adults to have I wanted to actually work with children with like motor skills and had mental disabilities. I ended up working with adults who had mental disabilities.
Mhm.
And I'm here to say that once I graduated college, graduated magna cum laude, all that good stuff, did everything they said, I hit like a life, like midlife early crisis because I was like, this can't be it. I didn't go to college, do all these things just to work and go home. And I wasn't even making $30,000 a year living in New
Yes.
York City.
Mhm.
So I had to start thinking a little bit more. I'm like, okay, well, what do I really want to do? Not something I was told to do or something I felt like would be good or make money, because I was set up for a big disappointment when I realized I wasn't really making much money. I graduated college right in the crash, like the 2008 crash. So like
Mhm.
jobs were scarce, they weren't making much.
Mhm.
People weren't getting bonuses. Like I came in right when the last bit of bonuses and stuff like that was being distributed out. So I literally enlisted into the Navy. I was like, something that I can get my student loans paid for,
Wow.
and, travel. Why not? My brother was in the military and he was like, hey, you should try the Navy, like, see how this goes. He served the Army, but he was like, I don't want you to do that. I want you to do the Navy. So I was like, okay, why not? He was trying to make me do the ROTC program through college. And I just didn't have a fit bone in my body. I mean, I wouldn't say that. When I was a kid, I was running track, but I started to migrate into fitness, not realizing when I had to train into the Navy. Long story short, I did not serve. I had a second-degree burn on my leg literally days before my assignment date when I had to report.
Okay.
And they gave me a couple weeks to heal. But at that time, like I said, we were just coming out of the
crash.
economic crash. Jobs is coming, and another sailor that was able to take my job got it right on the spot, and I was kicked out. So here I am back in that same space. Like, what am I supposed to do? I got back working in the field, but I still kept up fitness. I still kept going to the gym. People were telling me, oh, that's my fitness trainer, and going to the gym with me because they started seeing the change in my body. And then I didn't pay attention to the signs. They say like the signs that God leaves you is right in your face. And I kept saying, I'm still not happy. Like, I don't know what to do. And one of my mentors said, find something that you love to do and get paid to do it. I did explore into network marketing and started getting into, entrepreneurship mindset. I really liked that, but I couldn't figure out what it was that I wanted to do. And it took 3 years to figure it out. I would go to the gym, help train clients, and I finally went and got my certification. And then that started to open the door. I realized there was so much more than just, exercising and eating healthy, especially when I end up, unfortunately, getting diagnosed with 2 autoimmune diseases. I had a thyroid dysfunction in the past, and I just didn't understand. And I knew that it was something deeper. So I started to dig a lot deeper in gut health, holistic nutrition, all of those things. And then especially after a passing of a very close family member of mine who was very young, I just started wondering and asking, like, seeing these tubes down his nose. And I'm like, there has to be something more, than just the typical workout. You're trying to eat healthy and lose weight. Right. And I started to really explore a lot in gut health and balancing the hormones. These were all of the things that I helped to put I was my client first, and I started to have a lot of changes when I started really implementing that into my day-to-day tasks and daily self-care habits. And I'm here to stand. I was diagnosed 2014 and 15 with Raynaud's and Sjogren's because I had a lot of chronic pain, going to the gym, standing on my feet all day, having to be at the gym at 6 a.m. I wouldn't get home till 11 o'clock at night. And that pain, like, you can't see this. I look good on social media. She got muscles and abs and stuff, but I didn't feel good in my body. Right. So when I started adapting these holistic lifestyle habits myself and started really making a change and seeing a difference, I'm here standing in front of you in 2022, no medication, when I was told I was going to have it for the rest of my life.
Talk to us. I want to kind of back up. You see me bending down because I hear things as I'm listening to you. There's phrases that kind of jump out, and I got to kind of grab them and write them down. So as I'm looking down, I'm jotting down these little things that are coming out. I want to back up a little bit and talk about, just kind of bring us through the process of, there was something you said about missing the signs. Talk to us. So let's back up a little bit and elaborate a little bit more. When you say you missed the signs, what were those signs that you in fact missed? Because it's really important for people to understand, the journey. And especially as entrepreneurs and business owners, we all have a story. We all have, even if you're not a business owner, this is a business platform, but it's relatable to life as well. We all have a story, a journey, and it makes us and shapes us into who we are, and is very influential into what we do, why we do what we do. And so I think it's just important for people to hear that. I'm big into the healthcare. I'm a medical assistant, med tech, phlebotomist, you name it. And I've done the IT side of healthcare, I've done the enrollment and billing, and now in the clinical side as well. So I like to marry the healthcare with the business because we're our walking billboard. And if
Mm-hmm.
we don't feel good, yes, we look good. You made that point of looking good on the outside, but on the inside, you're dying. You're just miserable. And
Yep.
so it's so important for me, like I like to marry those two because you're your billboard for your business and whatever you're doing in life. And if you're not feeling good, your attitude, all of the emotions that go along with it, the depression, the anxiety, and the list goes on. And where we are today, I mean, I can just go on and on and on, but I'm not. But I just want to drive that point home of why, I bring on a lot of people I bring on from the health and wellness space because we've got to take care of ourselves, whether you're in
Yes.
business or not. But talk to us about those warning signs. What were they? Why did you miss them? What do you believe is why you missed them? How did you get back on track to really pick up those warning signs? And then
Mhm.
what were those self-care habits?
Yeah. So, okay. That's, thank you for that question. That is loaded, and you have to kind of think, how that really does come up to you. So I said I was missing the signs because it took 3 years of
Yeah,
me kind of going through that, like life crisis in a
yes.
sense. It's like, okay, I went to college. I'm not really making any money. I can't afford to live on my own. What's going on? And then go to the Navy, and then that didn't work out. But I knew that there was something bigger. Like there was no reason that I knew that I didn't go down that path because I literally like life changed. You get what I'm saying? I cut my hair, quit my job. I had a big going away party. I trained. I was very dedicated. I was willing to give my life,
Mhm.
to the military. If I had to get deployed, go to war, like I already mentally prepared myself. So
Mhm.
I knew
Mhm.
all of all that, um, those experiences weren't like in void. It wasn't like, oh, okay, well, you just don't go to the Navy, go back to working where you're not happy and making money. Um, so the signs were, like I said, it took 3 years for me to finally realize, like, oh, I did all that training and started doing the fitness, and people kept saying, that's my trainer, or I'm going to the gym with Lauren, or Lauren knows a lot about the body, because I was studying nursing in high school. I all through high school and college, how I was able to have money and help to take care of myself. I was working as a pharmacy tech. So I also too was in the healthcare side, implementing and learning about the Western. So I knew, like I said, all those signs, because at one point I was like, did I give up? Did I lose out when it came to me being in health and all the schooling and everything that I did? Was that just for nothing? But I know that there's nothing how we do what we do always serve in some way. It may not be the way we think it is, but we're going through the different avenues, whether it's a detour or what of what we do. So the signs that I was missing, like I said, I didn't realize right in front of me, with people even calling me their trainer. I totally missed that because I kept thinking, okay, well, the Navy didn't work out. What job do I need to get or do, to make some money? I just was kind of focusing on like the way society was set up, go to college, get good grades, and get the job and be on your merry
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that one of the things that I did realize, let me say this, when I was training for the military, I was doing so much mindset work. I started believing in myself the more than I ever realized. I didn't realize how powerful my mind is, what I put my mind to, I could do. And my mom
Absolutely.
said it all the time, going to school, but that was just something we were told to do.
Mhm.
So I asked myself, if I can literally wrap my brain around and really train myself to be, a militant soldier, you get what I'm saying? Sailor per se for the Navy branch. I can really like if I can do that for someone else and somebody else's government that I don't have a full understanding for, how can I do that for myself? So when I started looking at that, that helped me to kind of sit still for a moment, pause, and then pay attention to signs. Well, people keep calling me a trainer. And then my mentor said, well, if you don't want to do this, like when I started getting into the network marketing and stuff, I was like, I love this. I love the mindset. I like making my own schedule and making the money, but I don't want to do this per se, like exactly what I was doing.
Mhm.
And, she was like, well, you don't have to do this, like find something that you love to do that you'll do for free, something that was always calling for you that feels like, like you're not working, but get paid to do it. I didn't realize I was going to the gym still. I all through that time of not going to the Navy and stuck and not figuring it out, not making money and just lost and not knowing what to do at 23, 24 years old in this big city, and I'm just kind of like, what is it? I don't understand. And it's just like the sign just
Yeah.
bypassing. So that's what I meant more of not realizing. And it took for me to sit still for a moment and
Mhm.
really hone into myself to
Mhm.
feel with what do I want? What can I see? And it was hard. It's not like I was able to see that. But when I sat still a little bit and started asking myself those questions, things just started to become more loud. Like I wasn't ignoring or bypassing or deflecting when someone said, oh, I'm the trainer. And when my mentor finally told me that, I was easily able to, not immediately, but over, literally like a few weeks, I started to be like, oh, well,
Yeah.
everybody call me that. I like to
Yeah.
do it. And
Mhm.
then long behold, like I said, when you start asking yourself those questions, the universe, whatever it is that people believe in of their higher power, something starts coming through. And there was a brochure that slipped under my door from CUNY, and they started launching their first fitness training program. And my cousin was like, hey, you should look at this. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And the rest is history from there.
Yeah, I mean, as you're telling your journey, it's it's just like it just solidifies. Like every time I bring a guest on, I'm always looking to be the student as well, like what I
Yeah.
can learn when I'm inviting my guests on. And when I come in, and I just did a video yesterday called Social Intelligence and talking about collaboration, how it turns into partnership, but the root of it is communication. But I talk about a little bit about, why I do what I do and what I get out of it. And if you're coming in with a right motive, what it does for you personally, but also because of what it does for you, it's almost like it's pouring out to the other person as well. Because I'm listening
Mhm.
to your story, and every time I invite somebody on here, it's like, okay, Valerie, this is why you do what you do. This is why you have people come on your platform. This is why you give them voice and share and give people some ideas, some concepts, some insights, some creativity, get them to
Mhm.
ponder and to think and to maybe even wrestle and maybe even get convicted about some stuff. Let's be real. But I love your journey because as you're talking about it, I can just see, I can follow you on your journey. And I can
Mhm.
see, okay, yeah, I see how she missed it. Okay. And, I could see how, because we get so wrapped up in the process and what we're going through in that time that, yes, you missed those signs. But what I love is because the minute you said military and that you didn't get to go because this happened or whatever, all I could do was smile because I was like, yeah, that was just a setup because
Yeah.
such discipline and such the discipline, the fitness, the mindset, the integrity, the character, and all of that that is built just to be able to get through their program and to train and all that. Now I'm just sitting and saying, yeah, she was set up. This was her part one. This was her intro. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? That she needed. And to think about the program that they have just to get people fit. It's kind of like, okay, she was getting her blueprint and she was
Yep.
also getting her training as well. And so I could see that. And I love how you talked about mentor because I'm huge on mentors, having mentors. I have another video, guys. If you're not following me on YouTube, you need to like, comment, subscribe to Dimensional Talent Streams because these videos that I do and when I invite guests, they're all interconnected. They're all, I mean, they won't expire. They're all relevant. They're all interconnected because I talk about the importance of mentors and how to find mentors and what you need to look for. But I love how you talk about the mentors because we have our blind spots and when we're
Mhm.
caught up in life and process and trying to get through a phase of life or a difficulty adversity in life, we're just thinking about we just want to get through this particular period here.
Yep.
And we might be stuck in it and we need somebody on the outside to come in to see your journey to see, okay, your process, to talk you through, just to get you to stop and have a light bulb moment. Because if it wasn't for that mentor, you probably would have been going on that hamster wheel and wouldn't have had that revelation. I need to go sit. I need to go wrestle, deal with this internal wrestling, and let this wrestling come through so that I can come out and see that light and say, okay, all right, I see my trajectory. And now,
Absolutely.
so I love people's stories and messages on how they get through what happened, why they do what they do. And so it just makes perfect sense. But I'm sitting here with a big smile, like, she said mindset. She said, the warning sign. She said mentor. And I'm just sitting here just smiling and laughing
Yeah.
like a lap dog. So I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Talk to us now, because there's a couple of different things now. Talk to us now about the self-care, because I also have a video where I talk about jump starts, and what successful people do to jumpstart their day. As soon as they
Yes.
get up and they hit the ground running, some people, they're in the gym. One of my mentors, he lost so much weight, but he got himself so disciplined that he doesn't even look the same, Laura. He does not look the same. I mean, he is the same man, but if you look at him physically, you can
Yeah.
see the transformation. And so he gets up and he's in the gym like 5 o'clock in the morning. He's in the gym, and then he'll do some stuff with the family, and then he jumps into work about 12, 1, 2 o'clock. But you know a lot of successful people have a regimen that they do to jumpstart their day. So talk to us about your self-care
Yeah.
and what you.
So yeah, in order to be, we wake up every day. There's, as long as there's breath in our body, we have a new opportunity at whatever it is that we're supposed to do or destined to do, right? But when we think about ourselves, how are we caring for ourselves, right? Because a lot of things when we do, we're entrepreneurs, we're serving, right? We're serving. That's extended energy being put out. And I always say, like, we can never pour from an empty cup.
Right.
So I started, living in New York, let me just say that one, and then being an entrepreneur, you find yourself kind of in that team, no sleeps for suckers, and hustle, bustle, get to it, chase the money, gotta get the money, all that, and it's in the song. So you're motivated by it, but it's like a false, sense of something that you're chasing, in a sense, when it's something that you gotta sit, like I say, even when I got the signs, it's something that you need to sit still so that you can attract, right? Because if we keep pouring out, we're going to run out, period.
Right. Absolutely.
So just like our devices and everything, we got to stop for a moment, got to sit it still and charge. So the same thing when it goes for us. So I realized my self-care, unfortunately, started to come about because of that whole hustle mentality, on the go, the lack of knowledge with nutrition and all of that, and then end up being diagnosed with autoimmune. My body just was like in chronic pain. So I had to start taking care of myself. So that was the unfortunate part, that it took, to that matter to finally start being like, oh, self-care is important, like, or whatever. But when I started to do it, I realized, like, it has to be a non-negotiable, and self-care looks different for everyone. I was just posting in my group and on Facebook, where I was saying, like, rest is self-care, and that means it shows up different for different people. It may be taking a nap or sleeping, but rest is not always that. Rest could be just taking a time off and sitting with a book, spending a little time, like you said, your mentor goes to the gym, spend a little time with his family before he steps into serving others. That charges him up, before going out and doing things. So self-care shows up different for different people, and it shows up different individually, like I said, for myself, in different times and seasons. I mean, my morning routine is about the same. Like, I take the first 2 hours of the day for me. Maybe like once out of the week, I have a client that, it's hard to change her around. So I'll wake up a little bit, a little early, so I can focus on me, just sit in the feelings of my thoughts, journal, meditate really quick. But I do take the first 2 hours of myself for the day, and that is hydrating, nourishing my body with food, the thoughts, like, really sitting with my thoughts and not
Right.
making them wrong or right, but just sitting with them, seeing how they feel, letting them come, because most things that we go through or feel, good or bad, is just an energy and motion. That's what emotion is. So, I really just check in with myself and ask and see what I need.
Right.
But everything I do is always in fulfilling the mind, body, and spirit. So, I implement what that is for myself. That's the things that I share, with my community and Hervival, and being a Hervivor. That's what it really is. It's just, caring for yourself, mind, body, and spirit, and nourishing yourself in a way that those three aspects of yourself are fulfilled, where you actually activate your own inner GPS system and you start attracting. Like I said, I wasn't really feeling myself back there when I was missing the signs, mind, body, and spirit, because I was projecting in the outside world so much.
Right.
What society says, what I say I got to do, the way I'm supposed to earn money, the grade, like all of those things. And I really wasn't sitting like, well, do I feel good in that? Is that something I want? So yeah, that's what self-care looks for me, is a exploratory process of sitting still with myself and working in that aspect on how I can care for myself, mind, body, and spirit.
Right, right, right. I just did a co-author with some ladies. We co-authored a book on self-love. We did it around Valentine's Day, and I can't remember if I springboard off of it and did a teaching on there, but I talked about self-love from the perspective of, because when I sat with it, and it's funny because when I did the article and co-authored the book on self-love, it was like it just flowed like water. I didn't have to come up with something, because a natural part of me is I'm a writer. I'm a writer, so that's natural for me. But I was really just sensing like the negativity. Like I could hear people saying, "Oh, self-love. Oh, she's got low self-esteem. Self-love, self-hatred." And I was like, okay, we need to address that. And so I basically spoke on self-love from that perspective of what I was hearing deep down of some people's perception, because it's absolutely true that your perspective, just like self-care, is going to be different for everybody, and how they self-love. Everybody, when they hear that word and what first comes to them, it's not going to always be positive. They're not always going to get self-love. Okay, that's me, my me time, however I spend that, however I do that, who I may do it with. They may actually have a negative perception, like, oh, you're saying, they might be defensive about it. And so
Yeah.
dealing with that deeper issue of, okay, if there's negativity behind that, that's your red flag that you do need self-love. But let's deal with that reaction. Like, where is that reaction coming from? And so I wrote that article and co-authored that book from that angle, and talk about when we can get to the root. Like if you hear that word self-love and the first thing that comes to you, oh, you're saying I got low self-esteem, then it's like, okay, why are you coming from that angle? Let's go deeper. And then I talk about how self-love actually brings us increase. Self-love helps to multiply us. One of the things that I do on my platform is I teach business owners how to generate multiple income streams from their business. And so I also deal with it not only from the physical, generating revenue and capital, but also holistically, also
Yeah.
health-wise, how that causes increase, causes us to multiply. So you'll hear my catch 22, redirecting you and being fruitful and multiply, because there's so many ways where we can actually increase, and it's just not monetarily. So
Yeah.
I just love that whole self-care piece, because it really is critical, especially with what, even more so now, with what is going on in the world. You cannot say enough about
Mental health has been like,
it's
I
just
mean, I have a lot of friends that are therapists, because we were all like within school in the social service we have filled. And I did some studying where I could have been a therapist. And in a sense, I'm like, I kind of still find myself working in that space,
right, absolutely.
because like, I work with a therapist, with the client, and we refer people, you know, in that capacity. But a lot of my friends were saying it's such like they have to have waiting lists now
Yeah.
for clients and things, because like it's one thing when you're going through something, you know, if Lauren's going through something in her life, right? And then Valerie's just going through something in her life, but we are globally, you know, just being pushed and pushed and pushed with so much that's going on with the world, you know, that it just becomes a lot, you know, energetically, you know. So, and then on top of our own just personal matters and the way we even process, you know, some of these aspects. So it is important to have outlets, support groups, you know, these things to
Yeah.
navigate through just life, you know.
Right.
You know, they say it takes a village to raise a kid. We need a village too. Like my mentor always says too, we're just we're still children, you know, or babies with longer arms, longer legs. I mean, mine didn't grow too far. I'm small, I'm only 5'2", but you get what I'm saying? Like we still need that nourishing. Just because we're an adult, or you know, and we're actually having more responsibilities, and a lot of times we never even dealt with some of those childhood traumas
Right.
that they're in our adult lives with. So we need outlets, we need therapists, we need support groups, we need, you know, sister circles and accountability partners, and you know, these things that can help. And that has been a new phenomenon for me, because I was always used to just doing it by myself, going by myself and getting things done. And it worked. It got me where I needed to, right? It built some good characters in a sense. But I was like tired of being a survivor, because I'm walking and going through life with all this armor, and I'm ready to take it off because it's heavy and I don't have to have it on, running through life with this survivor armor on, you know, with all the past traumas or things or experience that I had to go through. So that's exactly what I say, like when we're on a mission to be able to help 1,000 women like get out of that whole survival world that we're bringing in. It got us far, but we can't go far. It's got us here, but we just can't go far with it. After a while, it's like, okay, I fought my battles, I'm ready to surrender.
Right.
And that's where I say, like, you know, if you're ready to surrender from being a survivor and ready to, you know, revive your mind, body, and spirit and become a survivor, like that's really what it is. And navigating what that looks like for you. You know, like I said, everything's mind, body, and spirit. What looks like to nourish your mind and your mindset and your self-care looks different from the next person. But a conglomerate of all of us sharing these different aspects of what these things look like for us can help you. Because like you said, we have this blind spot. We may not know or see these things, but when we're in a collective space or around people or having healthy conversations, we're like, oh, I might try that, see how that works for me. You know, fitness, it doesn't have to always be in the gym. I'm saying that as a fitness trainer, right? It could be at home. It could be walking. It could be dancing, you know? So it's so many aspects of how you can nourish in that way. Spiritually, it doesn't have to be in a church. It doesn't have to even be wrapped up in a religion. It could just be you honoring yourself and what that looks like for you, and navigating what your spirit feels called to. When you pay attention and do that, you'll be navigating in the spaces where you belong, not what everyone else says.
Right.
So
I think
believe in that.
I think that's very key. You mentioned it a couple of times of not getting caught up. You know, there's a gentleman I follow kind of in the real estate space, and he talks about being stuck in the trap. You know, some people have their different terminology, drinking the Kool-Aid, you know, caught up in the matrix, you know, different
catching up with the Joneses.
Yeah. And you know, you spoke to that more than once, and I think it's important to kind of pull that balloon down and talk about it for a second, of not being stuck in the cycle, not allowing people to shape you, you know, society, you know, the niche that you might be in, you know, family members to kind of shape you to the point where you begin to have confusion about who you are and then you have to go on this separate journey. Now, I know we all have our stories that we've been there, we've been shaped by our environment in some capacity, family, and and then we got to go and undo some things. And yes, not to say we can't take some things that was beneficial, but when there's imbalance and you are feeling like, okay, I really don't know who I am, then there's where the disservice is. So I think it's really important, especially for like new entrepreneurs and business owners like you are. You've been in business 5 years or less. You're still at that influential stage. You're still figuring things out. You get the shiny object syndrome, and that's really key to really hone in on, okay, what do you want to do? Who are you? Because that's what you need to settle within you. So as you are continuing to grow, you are not knocked by the wayside or feeling like, okay, I've got to change to be successful, or I got to look like him or her to be successful or to sell this product and goods and services. Is really honing in on who you are and being comfortable in your skin, being comfortable in your skin. So thank you for bringing that up, because that is so important. I mean, I've had to recently, like I shared, yet I did a video on social intelligence yesterday, and I had to share about some of the positive as well as the negative partnerships. Like I just had one last week, and we weren't even in the partnership a month. And I had to kindly, I had to say, hey, listen, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to pursue this any further, because I realized that I was changing. Like
Mm-hmm.
there was compromise. And my biggest thing is when I'm collaborating and if I'm coming in, I'm looking for that synergy. I'm looking for the ping. I'm
Yes.
looking for the ease. I'm looking for peace and flow and creative juices. And I'm looking down further down the horizon and da 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 da. And so if I feel like there's friction, it's like, all right, let's stop. Maybe one, two times, okay. But I felt like, okay, I'm compromising. I've got to stand up for myself and say, okay, no.
Yeah.
And I had to
We
let
have
the
to.
partnership go. Was there a learning curve? Learning, did I have some takeaways? Absolutely. Absolutely. Did I listen to my gut and were there red flags? Yes. Did I pay attention to them? No. Learning lesson. Don't compromise. Don't compromise who you are. Let somebody change you and you're trying to please them beyond the point where you're starting to lose yourself. So
And that's easy in the whole business realm and all these coaches. I had the same experience. I had to step down from working with a coach because the beliefs that I just felt right in my spirit. I know it may not be what everybody else does. Like she was telling me to close my group, and I'm like, why would I do that? Like it has grown as what's cultivating a space and a community. And just because it's not something making thousands of dollars or it doesn't fit in this framework that you only know how to coach does not mean that that's not what it is for me that's working.
right.
So you have to, I mean, some people may call it stubborn or whatever, but if you feel it in your spirit and you just know,
Yeah, it's the gut.
you can't compromise. And I'm like, this just
Yeah,
not gonna work. I know you coached all these people and made all this money, but maybe you just haven't coached a client like me, or has
right.
the type of business model that I have is not somebody that you helped before. So,
Right, right,
we're just not going to work. So I feel
right,
that.
right. Talk to us now about Thrive. Now you've touched on it, and the mind, body, spirit, and what you do. But talk a little bit more about that and what you do with Thrive, and some of these groups that you have. You've mentioned that once or twice about your groups. Talk a little bit about that and give us a sense more now that we got to know Lauren's journey, who she is, da 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 da. Talk to us a little bit more now about Thrive and some of these groups that you have and why you started these groups.
Okay. So my business is actually called Hervival. But Thrive with LC is just me, my journey, and all the things that I like service or do. Because there was Thrive with LC way before there was Hervival. I had my fitness company and, certain projects and stuff that I was working on. So I've always had Thrive with LC. That's me. But my business is Hervival. So my group that I have is called Hervival. It's on Facebook. It's Hervival Holistic Wellness and Self-Care for Women of Color. So that's our free resource, our free Facebook group, our community. And then I have the Holistic Wellness, Fitness and Spirituality app called Hervival. So like I said, Thrive with LC, just always, everything I've done, I've always like shifted from, just survive and really wanted to ignite into thriving. So that always been a part of my name. Like, she thrives, she's a thriver, like she thrives. So it was always like Thrive with LC, and that that will always be the universal unison, even if it gets to the point where, you know, there's more of, you know, because Revival is not just me, it is my brand, my company, but I'm partnered with a lot of other coaches and experts, and like we're all a contributor of that community in that space. So yeah, that's the gist of what that came from. I started the community. It actually used to be called another name, and it shifted a year ago because right when I was getting ready to take the group bigger than what it was, and I got that download in a meditation and prayer when I was trying to start a group of a group coaching program where I like work collectively with women, and I end up still doing that group coaching program. But when I was in meditation, it was like, hey, that group that you have called the name, I'm not going to say it because it ended up getting trademarked right as I was about to start doing it. So it was like, don't worry about all that. You're actually going to change the name anyway. It's called Her for Fur. And I couldn't hear it. That's exactly what it sounded like Charlie Brown, you know, it's like, wah, wah, wah. And I was like, what is that you're saying? It just sounds like Her for Fur, like, you know, and I used to get a little frustrated. Like I'm told I'm supposed to start this like app, and I'm supposed to shift the nature of what this group and really cultivate the space because it just organically grew on its own. I had the Facebook group just as a space to share some tips. And also I used to do boot camps here in the city, in New York, in Harlem, and in the Bronx, where like Yankee Stadium and all that stuff is at. So I had the Facebook group just to let people know, like, hey, the boot camp's there, because it would be like pop-ups and certain times throughout the spring and summer. And then, like I said, the group started growing. But thankfully, like you said, we talked about how we can't ignore the negatives because it does. The darkness creates lightness in some capacity, right? Thankfully for the pandemic, I've always wanted to branch out and be like online in some capacity. But I was so busy traveling around the city, running to clients. You know, I didn't have time. I had the group, but like I said, I had blogs, all those stuff. And when the pandemic happened, the gyms were the first things that closed, right, you know, especially here in New York. So I don't have any clients, you know. A couple of my clients were like, hey, we'll go virtual. Because right before that, I got injured and I couldn't walk for 8 months. So I was doing virtual with a few, but some like the, you know, hands-on virtual thing don't work. So like when that happened again, as I was getting new clients, then that kind of shut that down again. And I just started doing free workouts in the group, in the Facebook group. Like, hey, y'all, I need to work out. Like, I just started walking again. Like, y'all want to join me? I'm going to put the camera on and you just come on. Like, you know, and invite your friends. Like, it was that general. And people just started coming. Like, you know, the group just started growing. It was only like 127 people. Now there's over 500 people and everything in the group. So as it grew, and then now, you know, the gyms opening back up, people's getting back to their life. But now I'm seeing the climb of like mental health, stress, anxiety, just frustration, and just trying to maneuver. And then self-care goes back on the back burner, you know? Yeah. Now it's like, okay, like how can we start navigating through these? How can we hold ourselves accountable? What are the challenges you're having? I started asking all those questions. Who's having trouble drinking water? Okay, me too. Let's hold each other accountable. You know, all that. And it just started to grow as this like space of women that are just going through the challenges, whether they are a mom, you know, trying to balance work and they're running their business, or, you know, someone who's not a mom, but, you know, they are auntie, like myself, I'm an auntie, a godmother, and trying to provide and be there for my family and, you know, run my business and all these things. How do we navigate and still focus on wellness and self-care? And then that's when the group like rebrand, rechanged, and then later launched out an app because, you know, you can't do workouts with certain music. I kept getting banned in my own group because I would just play music in the background and work out. And then later I ended up launching out the app and locking arms with other coaches. And it's like, hey, I have this platform. I think it'll be great if we can collectively come together, because it does take a village to even support us. There's not a lot of spaces that really cultivates and grow and understand, you know, that's a small business that's not trying to, that's more about people over profit. Right. There's nothing out there that really bridge together, like I said, mind, body, and spirit, wellness, fitness, and spirituality together in a container in this capacity with other coaches. So I had a meditation coach, another fitness trainer. I had a couple plant-based chefs. Is like, hey, we can do meal plans, teach fun foods, you know, like even cheap foods, but it's, you know, plant-based without all the chemicals and ingredients. Sure. Doing the cooking classes. And then I have like a pelvic floor therapist who's like, a lot of us are not talking about matters of like bladder leaks, painful sex, pelvic pain. And we just came together and started creating this space and platform that's a safe space for the community. So that's the membership
Yeah,
side, but we do have a free Facebook group.
That's awesome. I'm just kind of getting that those ICIs are starting to happen. So yeah, if you have time, stay on for a couple minutes. We've got about 5 minutes left. I'm so honored to have you. So honored. I honor you for what you're doing, what you have been able to accomplish, and the adversity, just enduring the process and appreciating the process so that you can, really be on the purpose level now. Within these last few minutes, if there's something that you could share to our viewers and audiences, because this is going to be plastered, even on my crypto websites and stuff like that gets a lot of eyes. A couple of my podcasts, a lot of eyes are going to, see and hear this. What would one thing that you would want to leave folks who are watching and listening? What is one thing, a takeaway that you would want viewers and the audience to know?
Always bet on yourself. And that comes from, investing into yourself, and investment isn't always monetarily or put in the stock market or investing in your business. That is taking care of yourself, making sure, you're going to the doctors and getting checked up and moving your body. We can't avoid those things, period. But it doesn't have to be shaped like how everyone else sees it. Explore, invest into yourself so you can find out what you want. So then that you can explore those things and what makes you tick and click. So then that way you can sort through your life.
Awesome. And then give us how people can reach you if they got questions, they want to check you out. Where can people find you?
Absolutely. So all on the social media platforms, as far as me, is Thrive with LC. My website is thrivewithlc.com. That's the general website where you can see if you want to come to my workshops. I have a nutrition workshop called Stop Meal Planning and Eat Smart, where I teach you on how to ditch boxed in meal plans, learning how to eat for sustainable long-term results. So you can release belly fat, have better gut health, and be able to have something that sticks long-term. If you want to book on a private consultation, I do take on a few VIP clients. And then if you want to learn about Hervival, which is the holistic wellness fitness and spirituality app in our community, you can learn everything about that there and some of the products that I offer too.
Awesome sauce. Well, Lauren, thank you for being a part. Always, I'm so glad we made this connection. You and I met on a platform. So
yeah,
glad
so random, right?
Question. So glad you asked the question. I answered, and then I asked you more questions, and here we are today.
Here we are.
So guys, again, this is Valerie Williams of Dimensional Talent Streams, redirecting you and being fruitful and multiplying. Again, like, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Start registering, guys, for the virtual conference coming up April 22nd to the 24th. It is the Business, Health, and Fitness Expo. You can register now by going to vwilliams at dimensionaltalentstreams.com. All right, guys, I'll see you next week. That's going to wrap it up for us. I'll see you guys next week. So hang tight with me, Miss Lauren.
No problem.